Hi, this is Margo. This is Sunday evening, September the 25th, 2022. I hope everyone is safe and doing as well as possible. And we made it through another week. I don't know how, but we did. We're still here. And I'd like to welcome everyone to the show tonight. This will be my weekly update that I'll be putting on YouTube, where we're going to look at climate-related items around the world and methane and sea ice. And I'd like to start out with an article, and I posted this in my community posts, and there are two posts here on National Snow and Ice Data Center regarding the Arctic sea ice minimum. The minimum extent they decided was reached on September the 18th, which was last Sunday. And they ended up with, they said, 4.67 million square kilometers, or 1.80 million square miles. And here's the image, and of course they only count extent. They don't count volume or thickness or quality of ice or anything like that. And they count every little wisp, everything as extent. So there's that. And see, this was for the press, that one. And this one is a little bit more detailed. I'll leave links below. But it says Arctic sea ice minimum ties for 10th lowest. On September 18, Arctic sea ice likely reached its annual minimum extent of 4.67 million square kilometers, or 1.80 million square miles. The 2022 minimum is tied for 10th lowest in the nearly 44-year satellite record, with 2018 and 2017. The last 16 years, from 2007 to 2022, are the lowest 16 sea ice extents in the satellite record. And they haven't decided if the Antarctic has reached its maximum, although I think it has, and we'll look at that in a little bit. But here's an overview of the ice and the condition and context. Here's a chart that shows 2022 is there's this kind of aqua line right here. So it's about halfway in between 2012 and the median. And that's what we've been seeing on these reports. So there's that. And if you want to see another view of it, here I downloaded it. And this is what they have for the extent. And this brown line is the median. So there's that. Now, we'll look at Climate Reanalyzer. For today, we have maximum temperatures here. We're seeing cooler air here over the Arctic basin and a lot cooler in central Greenland. Now Greenland is having an event. The remnants of Hurricane Fiona that has come up in the Atlantic, or is coming up now, is hitting the southern tip of Greenland, and it's raining. And Jason Box did about a 7-minute video about that, and it was very good. And so this is unprecedented. This is out of season for this ice sheet to be melting like that. It should be just down to nothing by now, but you know, with things heating up, we'll have these atmospheric rivers more north and later in the year as well as time goes on. And he was saying that the main part was going to be Sunday night into Monday, and it was going to be, I think it was about 18 hours of rain. So we'll see a lot of melt there. And here we've got some whites. This is Arizona, California, and Mexico, and the whites are 40 C or higher, or about 100 degrees Fahrenheit or higher. And here in Brazil, mainly in South America, coming across North Africa, you can see it's gone down a lot. And here's Saudi Arabia and Iran, northern India, and then Australia, northwest Australia, northern Australia, Papua New Guinea. Those guys have some warm temps. Here's 2-meter temperature anomaly. And we did have the fall equinox this week, where the days are equal with light and dark. And now, as the North Pole is tilting away from the sun, the days are getting shorter in the northern hemisphere, and now they're growing longer in the southern hemisphere. So we're in fall now in the northern hemisphere, and the southern hemisphere is officially in spring. And here's 2-meter temperature anomaly. Look at all these browns all around this blue spot in the center, which is cooler air. And then Greenland, most of it's blue, but you can see browns down here at the southern end. That's where it's going to be raining, and it's been getting some rain this week too. And here, North America is almost all in browns. Here's a flat view. Russia is mainly blue now. Here's Kazakhstan with reddish brown. So that's that reddish brown. Here's the ledger. That's about 14 to 16 C higher than normal. And we've got some browns over the Antarctic and moving into reds, it looks like. Worldwide, we're up 0.3 C higher than normal. Northern Hemisphere is up 0.9 C. The Antarctic is up 0.9 C. The Arctic is up 0.9 C. The Antarctic is down 1.3 C. Southern Hemisphere is down 0.2 C. And the tropics are up 0.2 C higher than normal. Here's precipitation and clouds. So, see this long arm. This is the remnant of Fiona. And before that, there was a system that moved up. Look at this huge area of rain now in the North Atlantic. It's coming all the way up to Svalbard and to this eastern edge of the sea ice. It's also raining further north than that, here in the Barents Sea. So, just more and more rain in these northern regions. And here are the jet loops. I call them jet loops. There's nothing streaming about these anymore. Look, see the loopiness, and you can't hold in that Arctic air with it looping like that. So both hemispheres are very out of whack, broken and loopy, and that causes weather chaos. And we'll look at sea ice and snow cover in a moment. Here's sea surface temperature anomaly. This is as of yesterday. We've still got browns in the Arctic, and they're not as intense, and the reds are kind of going away. So the water is starting to cool a little bit, and the sun is still up for all the coastline areas up there. And here's this North Atlantic blob. And all of the Atlantic is in the brown. Gulf of Mexico. And the North Pacific has twin blobs here. And we've got higher than normal into the dark browns here from Indonesia across. And then this blue, that's the equatorial Pacific, so that's a little cooler than normal. We can see the Mediterranean is starting to cool down, and these interior bodies of water are cooling down, going more towards white instead of brown. Worldwide, we're up 0.4 C higher than normal. Northern Hemisphere is up 0.8 C. The North Atlantic is up 1.2 C. The North Pacific is up 0.6 C. The Southern Hemisphere is up 0.2 C. And the Equatorial Pacific is down 0.4 C. So there's that. Now we'll move on to methane. and I've got 2 days worth of methane data from NOAA to share. And we've got Friday the 23rd here in the morning for the MET-B or MET-1 satellite. We're tracking this 469 millibar level. The mean or average was 1948 parts per billion. The high reading was 2456. And look at all this missing data in areas where we have high methane too. And in the afternoon, the mean was 1946. The high reading was 2366. And no doubt that this mean number would have been higher if all that data had not been missing. Oh, we don't need that. And then for yesterday, the 24th in the morning, the mean was 1949, and we've got a spike here. The high reading was 2720. Normally that's around 2400, so that is a spike to see it that high. We don't know where this happened, just somewhere in the pink zone. My guess is it could have been the Scandinavian area or West Russia or China. That would be my guess. And more missing data for about half of the US and Mexico there, and part of Russia. So in the afternoon, the mean was 1948, and the high reading was 2415. Here's the chart and spreadsheet. So the 24th averages out to be 1948.5 parts per billion. That's showing a slight increase overall for the week of 0.5. So we're still seeing methane on the rise. So we've had 4 weeks of rise. We had 2 weeks here with no change in between, and so we're getting close to the end of the methane rising season. Usually it's around the first week in October. Last year it was October 2nd. See, with that little peak there, right there. And we're 18 parts per billion higher than a year ago this time. We're 79 parts per billion higher than when I started charting all of this March the 1st of 2019. So you can see how we're on this gradual, continual upswing, and we're setting records every single day. Every single day we're setting records that were higher than the year before. Okay, let's see what happened here this week. So in our show last Sunday, we had the data for Saturday the 17th. We were at 1948 parts per billion. Sunday it went up 0.5. Monday it went up 2 parts per billion. Now I've got something to show y'all on that. We'll come back to that in a minute. Tuesday dramatic drop down. It went down 3.5. Wednesday it went down another 1.5, and then Thursday it went up 1. Friday it went up 0.5, and then Saturday it went up 1.5, giving us an overall increase for the week of 0.5. So I wanted to show for the 19th our readings were, here I'll show you here. Here it was in the morning on the 19th. The mean was 1952 and the high reading was 2576. Now that's the highest we've had on the mean. But look at all this missing data. All of Africa and all of Europe, and Middle East, all the way over to Russia and to Pakistan, and a lot of Australia and Papua New Guinea, and then the west coast of the U.S. and Alaska. And so we see these areas where there's missing data. We're missing a lot of methane. So even with all that missing data, the mean was 1952. And I counted it, even though we had all this missing data, I counted it because I figured that with all the data, it was probably higher. It would have been higher if we had all the data. I don't know. I mean, that was just my thought. But look at that. Isn't that crazy? And then in the afternoon, we had this swath of missing data coming up through Africa and Spain, Europe, UK, and Ireland. So some more heavy areas of methane. And here the mean was 1949 and the high reading was 2456. So that's why I put a note over here about missing data, and if we count that, then that's our highest reading so far this year. That could be our peak, and that would have been on the 19th. That would have been a little bit early to reach the peak, but we've also seen like year before last, we peaked out twice, once in September, and then it went down, and then it went back up and peaked out at the same reading in October 2 weeks later. So we may see something like that. I don't know. But we're getting close to hitting our peak on methane. For this year at least. Alright, now we'll look at cams. We're going to look at Saturday the 24th, Arctic view and surface level. And we're on the Copernicus Atmosphere Monitoring Services website out of the EU. Here's our color ledger at the bottom. So the data is for Saturday, and the forecast period is Sunday through Wednesday. So this whole Scandinavian area Norway over to western Russia. I mean, look at this. This is just constant, and see how it's spilling over the coastline and just streaming out. This is terrible. And here's Alaska. So it's pretty filled up inside. We're seeing a little bit of bubbling. Here it comes some mollets. Not nearly as much as what we have seen in the past. But if you watch right here, see it just pops up and goes down. Here's Canada, here where it's heavy, just under the Hudson Bay. And here from North Dakota up. And we'll go to the North Pole view. So you can see the UK, Ireland is covered up. Europe is looking very blobby. Germany, look at all that. Persian Gulf spilling over into Saudi Arabia there. Here's India and Pakistan. Here's China. Look at this. See, it's just spilling over the coastlines. It was very high and just solid. When you see the solid blob, you know methane is high. Here's Korea. See, streaming up into southern Russia with that high reading. These waves moving out. And then here in the U.S., eastern seaboard. And then, so it's going down, and then we see these big blobs pop up just on certain days. And then all these green waves moving around. Signs of very high methane. And now we'll go to the global view. I got a late start on doing this show. I don't like starting this late, but it is what it is. Okay, here's the global view. See this darker blue? That's 1840 parts per billion, and we're seeing more of that. Look here in the Indian Ocean and in the Pacific. And then the next color up is 1860, and that's the main background color still in the southern hemisphere. But as things cool down, you'll see these darker blues creeping in across the southern hemisphere. still got our hot spot at Beijing, China. See the white spot? Watch. See? That's where it goes above the chart. That's above 10,000 parts per billion. And now we'll look at 500 HPA. Well, I've been having trouble loading things on cams here today. I don't know if they're just really busy with site traffic or what. Okay, here we go. See this heavy band from Japan all the way across China and southern Asia into India, and then a huge percentage of Russia, and then this western side, and see over the Arctic as well. And then total column. And again, it's heaviest from Japan over to India. Big wide line there. Then all these reds. So there's that. I'm going to close that one. Now I wanted to show earthquakes from yesterday that I took pictures of. There were 243 worldwide. And Svalbard has been having activity for the last few days. And these are 5s, these bigger dots, and these are 4s around this ring of fire. Okay, here we are. Here's Svalbard, here's Greenland, here's the tectonic plate. This is in the Fram Strait, just west of Svalbard. This was a 4.2 that came in on the 23rd at 9:47 p.m. Here's Hawaii, and they've been having swarms. Now yesterday they had 47, and the highest one was a 3.5 down here near Pahala, and we can see the majority are at Pahala, and then you have a whole bunch at Mauna Loa too. Here we have off the coast of California 4.8, just at the base of this Juan de Fuca plate. So that's higher than we normally see there. Alaska had 49 yesterday. Their largest one was a 4.8 at Tonsina, Alaska. That's all of those. And then, let's see, I only took 2 earthquake pictures today. 227 today. Wow, that number's dropped. 'Cause it's Sunday. Now it was going down on Saturday, but you see the big drop on Sunday, 'cause the earthquake makers are not at work today, meaning the people who do quarry blasting. Okay, here's two more at Svalbard. Here's a 4.5 that came in this morning at 7:01, and then a 4.4 came in at 7:59 this morning Pacific time. So these are Arctic earthquakes. I'm especially interested in those. Here's sulfur dioxide today. And here's 500 HPA. I don't see anything real remarkable here. Now here's the ozone hole over the Antarctic. You can see it spread out and is now encompassing the whole continent and past this western peninsula, and it's gone down 4 layers into the danger zone. Let's see. And the next color down here is black. Sometimes it's hard to differentiate this dark blue from the black, but if you zoom in, you can tell. I'm not seeing any black here right now, but this dark navy blue is 125 to 150 Dobson units, and this kind of purplish blue is 200 to 220 Dobson units. Everything in this black line, this circle, everything inside here is in the danger zone because the ozone is so thin. And here's the ozone over the Arctic today. We can see it's continuing to thin down with the greens and the regular green color all the way across the Arctic there. And we've got greens at Canada and western US, also over the Hudson Bay, also over a lot of Greenland, North Atlantic, and then a lot of Russia there. Here's the global view. So it's really thinning down with all those greens. And we already looked at that. Now we will move on to the sea ice portion of the report. And we're going to start with our slideshow from Climate Reanalyzer. I download these images every day. And here's what it looks like today for sea ice and snow cover for the Arctic. We can see where it kind of comes in, kind of melts inward on this east side. That's because there's the water is very warm coming up from the Atlantic up to Svalbard. So remember, maximum extent, they say, was reached on the 18th. And so we're seeing the holes are starting to fill in and more concentration. Not a lot regrowth on the extent yet, but you will see it. So let's see what happened this week. Here we were last Sunday. That looks about the same to me. We'll click through. Here's Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, and then Saturday. So what we're seeing is it's filling in all those holes that were in between the pieces of ice that was sea surface, and so that's refreezing in between the pieces of ice and making it more concentrated. And that's all of those. Now, we'll move on. Okay, we saw that. Let's go back. Starting with the U.S. Navy, this is sea ice thickness as of today in the Arctic. And we're still seeing remnants of the holes up here north of the North Pole, and it's pretty thin. It's still whitish purple or whitish lavender, but it's thickening. See all these blues starting to come in a little further out, and here's aqua coming back here. Now this, what's left of the thicker ice, I've been watching this and it's really morphing, and it almost looks like it can form a break here, and it did form a break here along the coastline, so it's pretty much free floating. And these darker aquas, see, and here's just a little bit of brighter aqua. And here's our chart. The darker aqua is about 1.5 meters depth, and the brighter aqua is about 2 to 2.5 meters, like this area. Here's the 30-day animation. This was updated to yesterday, so the data goes back 3 weeks and the forecast goes out to next Saturday. So let's see what they're anticipating. So first of all, we're seeing these holes filling up, and what was kind of whitish lavender is moving more into a darker lavender color, meaning the ice is refreezing, getting a little thicker. Now, I'm really watching this, what's left of the thicker ice, and it's still squishing down and spreading out, and it almost looks to me like it's coming apart or getting thinner here in the forecast period. Yeah, it looks like that's breaking up. And then here's this western end. And the whole piece is shifting to the west or southwest. And I believe this is from the sea ice drift and the way it just pushes everything back and forth. And we're also seeing some regrowth in these Northwest Passage areas. There's that. Here's the Beaufort sea ice thickness. Here's Canada and Alaska. Here's just poorly put together ice here in the Beaufort Sea. And then this is bright aqua moving into green. And so that's moving into about 2.75 meters thick. In the 30-day animation, and this is updated to today, so the forecast period goes out to next Sunday. And you can see this whole thing sliding down. So I could just imagine this either breaking off here or just above where this little island is. I can just imagine that. And we're seeing thickening with more blues too. And instead of like a half a meter thick to almost nothing all the way up to this darker blue, which is 1 meter thick. Alright, there's that. And here's the Antarctic sea ice thickness. And I believe we've reached maximum extent, and now it's on the downswing a little bit, and it's mainly melting on this west side and around this western peninsula, and the majority of the thicker ice is here in Greenland, in greens and aquas. So here we go, 30-day animation. Again, this was updated to yesterday. So the forecast period, it goes to next Saturday. So watch this side here. See it move in. Now granted, the ice is not very thick there, but they could have gotten tossed around depending on the ocean currents. Okay, we saw that. And here's National Snow and Ice Data Center. This is concentration in the Arctic. All these blues are areas where the ice is either unstable or it's just not good ice. And the blue line is the median. Here's our extent chart. And here it is, kind of going up. So we'll see what happens there. Here's the Antarctic. And here's the extent chart. Look at this. So this was a time Okay, so it looks like the maximum happened a few days ago, right here. See right there, that little nub. And then it's gone down ever so slightly, and then it looks like it's kind of flatlined there. It's just holding for a while. Here's the Greenland melting. Here it was yesterday. Look at this. This is really unprecedented. So it's all around this southern tip. And here are the cumulative melt days. And here's the heaviest on this southwest edge. That's, I would say that's at least 90 to 95 melt days there. And here's the extent. And this is as of the 24th. See, it jumped back up today. And, this is just unprecedented. See, all of this, starting with this heavy spike here that occurred at the end of August, 1st of September time frame. And then it's just been going with system after system moving up from the North Atlantic. And this dotted blue line is the median. So that's kind of what we would like to see. Doesn't mean we will, though. And according to this chart, it looks like they got about they're about 8% melt. And that's all of those. Now we'll move on to NASA Worldview. See this black circle? It's getting larger as the sun is going down. We're going to turn on sea ice concentration and blue marble to block out the clouds. Oh, that's weird. There's no blue marble there. It's just black. There it goes. There it goes. Alright, so here we are today. We can see some holes here, just northwest of the North Pole, and holes up here around Greenland, and so on. Alright, so let's see what happened this week. I'm getting really tired. I started way too late. So here we were last Sunday, and at this point, see all of this area in the little arm sticking up. This area was under just extremes. Alright, so let's click through. So here's Sunday, Monday, here it starts to fill in, see? Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, oh no, that's Friday, I left a day out. Saturday, and then today. And notice the new melting here at northern Greenland. just from yesterday, and you can see new melting. But we've got a little bit of regrowth here at Greenland. So there's that. Now, okay, we saw all of that. Oh, okay, hold on. Okay, I'm back. I'm just falling asleep. I'm so tired. Gonna try and get through this. So, here's this black circle getting bigger around the North Pole, because the sun's going down. No sunlight there. So let's go in, see what we can see. There's the Lincoln Sea, and here's the nearest strait. Look at that. That's flowing. And here, so it looks like this is part of the Fiona system. I don't know. Here's Greenland. So here's the rain coming up to Greenland. Here's Svalbard. There's Franz Josef Land. Here's the ice edge. Coming on up. Here. Oh, that's Franz Josef Land. Okay, here's Severnaya Zemlya. And this island is Komsomol. It's right around here. It's where we see that continuous bubbling of methane on cams. And, okay, those are little islands. Look at this. Here's the Vovolov ice cap still pouring into the ocean. And then open water in the Laptev Sea. Alright, so here's this northwest edge. And let's go over here. Here's Alaska up here. Up here, right to the left. This is Wrangell Island. So here's Alaska. Here's Canada. And coming across. Now this is an area that's not very well put together. And here's Canada. And here's Ellesmere Island. And we're back to Greenland. So let's see. Yesterday. Alright. Alright. Here's the north edge of the ice. Alright, now We'll move to the Antarctic. I apologize if there are some pauses here. I'm just struggling to stay awake. Here's the Antarctic, and here's our circle of darkness over the South Pole. It's getting larger. I'm going to start on this western peninsula, and here's our iceberg A76. It's kind of holding here. I don't know what's going to happen. We're seeing pieces of ice break off, so it could be starting to really deteriorate. And then coming down, this is the western peninsula, and these are the Larsen ice shelves. A is gone, B is gone, C has a big hole that broke off a few years ago. But see, it's already melted right around the coastlines there. Here's the Weddell Sea. Here's the Brunt ice shelf. Look at this. There's the Halloween crack. Let's see. Coming on around. Here's the north side. Here's the east side. This is the Amory ice sheet. And then coming on down. Oh, look at this. This cut and paste. See, we can't see the Totten Glacier. We've got some clouds. So, anyway, there's that. Look at this. Okay, now we're moving on around. This is the Ross Sea. And let's see. Here's Ross Island. There's Mount Erebus, the volcano. And coming around and around. On this western side, we can't see it very well because of the clouds. This is the Thwaites Glacier. It also nicknamed the Doomsday Glacier. Can't really see much. It's been cloudy all week there. And then here's Pine Island Glacier. Look at all this open water. It was not near that huge of a break last week when we saw that. And so, there's that. Let's see if there are any earthquakes. Look at all these red dots lighting up like Christmas tree lights. We've got 234 right now. So, alright. same. Alright, so let's see. Let's go 7 days all magnitudes. And first of all, let's go all magnitudes. This week we had 2,290 earthquakes, and that's about double what we normally have in a week. So, very active week. Let's see how many Svalbard got. They got 4 here, and they were all in the 4s range, starting on the 22nd. And let's go in here. Russia had a 6.0 off the east coast of Kamchatka. This is part of that Aleutian Island chain. That came in on September the 20th. And there was another 6 somewhere. Those are 5.7 Papua New Guinea. Oh yeah, it was over here. Off the coast of Chile. 6.1 near Ancud, Chile. This came in on the 23rd at 3:53 p.m. Look at all this activity. All these red lines. South America, Central America, Mexico, and then this Mexico area. So this area, it shows them having 8 here this week. I think it's more than that. Here are the 6 pointers. 6.8, that came in on the 21st at 9:16 p.m. And then a 7.6 near Colima, Michoacan border region in Mexico, and that came in at 11:05 on the morning of September the 19th. Yeah, sorry. Trying to make my brain work. Look at all of these. And we had quite a bit of movement on the Juan de Fuca plate. Here was 3.4 on the 23rd, 3.3 on the 23rd, and a 3.9 near Bandon, Oregon. And then down here at the fulcrum point, there were quite a few. We had 4.8 Petrolia, 2.0 Petrolia, 2.3 Petrolia, 3.7 Petrolia, 2.3 Ferndale, 1.8 Ferndale, and so forth. So, what else did I want to show? What? Anyway. So that's my report for tonight. And if I can stay awake, I want to start on the book of Job. Last week we finished reading Wisdom by Solomon. That was part of the Apocrypha. And I think Job, we need to learn about his life and how he was so faithful, and even though he suffered so much, he never turned his back on God. He never gave up on God, and he never stopped praising God. And we need to take his example. And so we're going to learn about Job. The book of Job, chapter 1. There was a man in the land of Uz, whose name was Job, and that man was perfect and upright, and one that feared God, and eschewed evil. And there were born unto him 7 sons and 3 daughters. His substance also was 7,000 sheep, and 3,000 camels, and 500 yoke of oxen, and 500 she-asses, and a very great household, so that this man was the greatest of all the men of the East. And his sons went and feasted in their houses, every one his day, and sent and called for their 3 sisters to eat and to drink with them. And it was so, when the days of their feasting were gone about, that Job sent and sanctified them, and rose up early in the morning, and offered burnt offerings according to the number of them all. For Job said, It may be that my sons have sinned, and cursed God in their hearts. Thus did Job continually. Now there was a day when the sons of God came to present themselves before the Lord, and Satan came also among them. And the Lord said unto Satan, Whence comest thou? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, From going to and fro in the earth, and from walking up and down in it. And the Lord said unto Satan, Hast thou considered my servant Job, that there is none like him in the earth, a perfect and an upright man, one that feareth God and escheweth evil? Then Satan answered the Lord and said, Doth Job fear God for naught? Hast not thou made an hedge about him, and about his house, and about all that he hath on every side? Thou hast blessed the work of his hands, and his substance is increased in the land. But put forth thine hand now, and touch all that he hath, and he will curse thee to thy face. And the Lord said unto Satan, Behold, all that he hath is in thy power, only upon himself put not forth thine hand. So Satan went forth from the presence of the Lord. And there was a day when his sons and his daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And there came a messenger unto Job, and said, The oxen were plowing, and the asses feeding beside them. And the Sabeans fell upon them, and took them away. Yea, they have slain the servants with the edge of the sword, and I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another, and said, The fire of God is fallen from heaven, and hath burned up the sheep and the servants, and consumed them. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another, and said, The Chaldeans made out 3 bands, and fell upon the camels, and have carried them away, yea, and slain the servants with the edge of the sword. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. While he was yet speaking, there came also another and said, Thy sons and thy daughters were eating and drinking wine in their eldest brother's house. And behold, there came a great wind from the wilderness, and smote the 4 corners of the house, and it fell upon the young men, and they were dead. And I only am escaped alone to tell thee. Then Job arose and rent his mantle, and shaved his head, and fell down upon the ground, and worshipped, and said, Naked came I out of my mother's womb, and naked shall I return thither. The Lord gave, and the Lord hath taken away. Blessed be the name of the Lord. In all this Job sinned not, nor charged God foolishly. Job chapter 1. So Job knew that even though he had all these possessions, God can take it away, and if God takes it away, it's for a reason. Everything is for a reason. And even if we don't understand it, we need to still be faithful and praise God and be looking to Him and praying and all of that. Because without God, we don't have a chance. We just don't have a chance. And like Job said, you come into this world naked, you leave this world naked with owning nothing. And I think, we need to reflect on that and take that to heart and really get your life in order. Really get your life in order to be ready to depart. Time is very short. I do believe we're in the end days. And if you haven't given your life to Jesus Christ, I highly recommend it. And so, I love you all, and I'll be praying for you. I hope everyone has as good a week as you can. And until next time, God bless you. Go in peace, and I will talk to you soon. Good night.